Hey y'all, welcome to episode 2 of Detox, the spiritual detox. As y'all can see, I am here unfiltered today. Honestly, I wasn't even going to film today, but the 2 comments on my last video inspired me to get up and get in front of the camera. And I just didn't feel like doing anything extra. So here I am. But anyways, I wanted to lead this video by saying I was going through a rough situation earlier this week. Like, I was just having a very difficult time. I felt like the devil was really on my back and he wasn't letting up. And then it dawned on me, instead of like giving all the credit to the devil, why not try to find the God in what I'm going through? Because I feel like sometimes we forget that God does use certain situations to test us. Earlier this week, the battery died on my car, and the first thing I did was curse the devil. And I had to really check myself, because I'm like, maybe, just maybe, God did this because he's protecting me from something. Or maybe he did this to prepare me for something. Or maybe he did this because there's something that like I'm not getting that he wants me to see. And I just feel like a lot of times we give the devil the credit that we should be giving to God, because every time something goes wrong in your life, that does not mean it's the devil who is causing that situation. I feel like a lot of times, most of the time, it's just God showing us, a lesson, or preparing us for something, or protecting us from something. I think we're so used to blaming the devil every time we're experiencing any kind of like turbulence or chaos. Instead of giving the devil all the glory, we should be giving that glory to God and thanking God, because I'm not sure what that, situation protected me from. And I can never be sure, but what I do know is that it could very much be God that, orchestrated that certain event so that I would be protected from something. So I say all of that to say, lean into God when you are going through a season or a chapter of difficulty, rather than giving recognition to the devil. Because that's what the devil wants you to think. He wants you to think that you're experiencing X, Y, Z because you just have a bad life. You're not having a bad life. You're just going through some challenging times, and that's perfectly normal. So try to see the God in these situations, and again, stop giving the devil so much credit and recognition. I know how difficult it is to see the light in certain situations, especially when you feel like you just keep getting attacked like time and time again. But again, it's important to realize the lessons in those situations rather than dwelling on what's bad. Because once you get stuck in a mindset to where that's all you think about, you're just going to continue to attract negativity. So if you want your situation to change, if you want things to get better, focus on the light and the positivity and the lessons that the situation may be holding, or the blessing that the situation may be preparing it for. So today's topic is going to be about learning to accept ourselves and setting boundaries where they need to be set. I feel like I'm in a season where I'm learning to accept myself, and I think that comes with creating boundaries. Recently, I've been called selfish quite a lot, and to be honest, I'd be a fool to ever believe I'm selfish. Like, you can never convince me that I'm selfish. But I feel like once you start creating boundaries, the people who don't respect you are the ones who don't respect them. And I think when you're focused on healing and finding you and re-exploring yourself, it comes with being selfish. So I feel like sometimes being selfish is okay. Like, it's okay to say, I cannot allow this anymore, or I need space. It's okay to take your energy away from people, places, and things that no longer serve you, especially when you have a particular goal that you're trying to reach or accomplish. So I think that on the journey of self-exploration, it's normal, or it's okay to be a little bit selfish. I saw a post on Facebook earlier this week, and it was saying that basically moms have to put themselves first. It's like you come before your child. And when I first gave birth, I would disagree with that. But the further I get into motherhood, the more I realize that if I'm not taking the time to pour into me, then there's no way I'm going to be able to show up for my child the way that she needs me to. So I feel like that goes for every other, like, friendship, relationship, or, you know, job, whatever it may be. Like, that goes for everything else too, because you can't truly and like genuinely pour into anything if you're pouring for an empty cup. So I think choosing you and being like selfish in a way, just really like dedicating time for yourself, to yourself, is important, especially as women, especially as a mother or a parent. And I'm learning to like accept people's opinions about me for what they are, instead of trying to shift the narrative. It's like, feel how you want to feel, because at the end of the day, I know who I am, and that's really all that matters to me. It's like, I'm not going to allow people's opinions of me or their perception of me to change who I am. I think for a long time I've struggled with like people pleasing, and as I step into this new season of my life where I am just coming back to self and like taking my power back, it's easier for me to choose me over anybody else, because people pleasing hasn't gotten me anywhere, literally. And I just never want to lose myself over anybody else ever again. So I'm okay with being the villain in someone else's story, because at the end of the day, I know me, and the people around me, they know me. So I just think that, you know, as you grow up and mature, a lot of things that used to matter won't matter anymore. What's really important is pouring into you, being true to yourself, standing firm in who you are, walking in your power, demanding respect, and just showing up for the people that you love in whatever way you can. I think the journey to self-discovery after losing yourself is very difficult. Like, it's a lot easier said than done, for sure. But I think the journey to like self-discovery is also like such a beautiful thing. And to me, I just feel like it's so empowering and liberating, because you're not only like restoring faith in yourself and self-confidence. You're rediscovering yourself. And I feel like at some point in time, everybody needs to do that. Whether you are overcoming a breakup, whether you just had a child, whether you just left a job. It's inevitable. And I feel like I'm enjoying being on this journey. It definitely is a bit tricky. And sometimes it's like very overwhelming because I just miss like certain versions of myself, but I get to create even better versions of myself. So that's just something that I really look forward to in the near future, is like creating a better version of myself, or being the best version of myself, so that I'm able to pour into everybody who pours into me, and I'm able to show up for my loved ones and even myself. I think in losing yourself, you get to like this place where you stop showing up for yourself the way you deserve to, because when you're constantly pouring into everybody else and nobody's pouring into you, I feel like the last person you and everybody else are looking to help is you, which is why it's important to pour into yourself as much as you pour into other people, if not more. I saw this post on Facebook earlier. I'm about to try to find it real quick and then I'll be back. Alright, y'all, I'm back. And I couldn't find the post that I had in mind, but I did come across another one. And it says, the only reason that I'm not drowning in my sorrows right now is because I strongly believe that everything is happening according to God's plan, and I'm no longer getting in the way of that. I can't pray, walk by faith, and still be worried at the same time. At this point, I wash my hands with everything that's out of my control. Here you go, God. It's yours. And I think this post really resonated with me because there's just so much that I'm going through behind the scenes that I feel like will cause anybody else to crash out. But for one, I have a child that depends on me, so that's out of the question. But secondly, I feel like there's a purpose behind this chapter of my life, so as there's a purpose behind every season of my life. So I just feel like this season is preparing me for what's to come. Literally everything I'm going through right now, I feel like it's just preparation for what's to come. So I'm trying to handle it as gracefully as possible, because I know that initially everything happens for a reason. But back to finding yourself after losing yourself. I feel like healing, this is going to be like a linear journey, because I think as we navigate through life, we experience different seasons and we go through different experiences that cause us to shift in a way. Like becoming a mom and giving birth, that situation itself like shift my whole perspective. But also like getting into a relationship and, you know, navigating that, and losing relatives, all of that caused a shift in perspective. So I think as we navigate and experience different things, for example, maybe getting married down the line or getting engaged, like being involved in a healthy relationship, having additional children, I feel like those are all experiences that's going to come with like a different shift. So I feel like there's multiple things in life that will cause us to alter ourselves in certain ways. So I think in a sense, we'll always be finding ourselves or rediscovering things about ourselves or discovering new things about ourselves. It's not like there's just going to be like an end to us growing or progressing. I think as we grow older, as we again navigate different avenues of life, we're going to learn more about ourselves. We're going to let go of old habits in certain ways and adapt new habits and new ways of doing things. So self-exploration is just as linear as healing to me. Like, that's how I perceive it. I personally feel like it's not something that is going to ever stop. I think it's not like we're going to stay the same version of ourselves that we are right now. So there's no way for us not to have to adapt and adjust to a different way of being or a different way of existing. It's like when I have another kid, obviously in order for me to get there, I'm going to have to experience a new relationship, which is going to come with new experiences, new connections, new people in a sense, because whenever you're in a relationship or you're dating someone, 9 times out of 10, you're going to go through this phase of like meeting the people around them. So that in itself is another experience. So I think that life literally in general is linear. It's like never ending. So we're going to go through this never ending cycle of healing, of growing, of learning, because I feel like everybody that's put before you, every experience that you have to go through is a learning lesson in all of that. So I think that this chapter of like exploration is literally just showing me that life isn't going to stop lifing. I'm not going to ever get off this roller coaster of emotions. Everything is like never going to be rainbows and sunshine. Like life will never be rainbows and sunshine just 24/7. Don't get me wrong, I definitely feel like I will enter in a phase of my life where I'm happy, like I say 80% of the time, I guess 95 if you will. But I think that even at your happiest, there are going to be things that kind of like weigh you down, and that's just a normal part of life, and it's something that we can't control. So I think like I've just really been taking the time not just to rediscover myself but the world around me, and just I feel like I'm coming to this understanding, this knowing that like everybody's just on this journey. This journey comes with a lot of lessons and a lot of new news, and I think at times it's overwhelming, but I mean, there's really nothing that I can do but surrender to that knowing, to that understanding, to everything that I'm learning and everything that I've learned in the past. I've noticed that on this journey too, I've been very overstimulated a lot, because I feel like on top of everything that's going on physically, like in the 3D realm, there's also so much going on within me, like spiritually and emotionally as well. And I think just experiencing a lot of these new news have been very overwhelming and like very overstimulating. And I'm just trying to navigate it the best way possible, but sometimes I do feel like I'm losing my mind, which is another reason why I feel like it's important to, again, and I feel like I'm gonna keep saying this, but it really is important to have like people and things that you can pour into. So you don't lose your mind, because that's just, nobody wants to be in a situation where they feel like they're just losing not just themselves, but like their minds and everything else as well. So I think that I'm grateful to have this platform and to be able to just like get what's on my mind off and release, and like pour into something that I know is beneficial for myself and others. And I just really hope that something big really comes out of this. Like, I just told my best friend the other day, like, this is just the beginning. Definitely, this isn't how I expected to like start my podcast. Like, I had a different vision in mind, but I know for sure I'll get there. I just have to continue just putting myself out there. And over time, as you know, my platform starts to grow, then I'll be able to make the most of my podcast. But right now, I'm just making the most out of the situation that I'm in and hoping for the best. And that's how I'll be ending today's episode. I love y'all. Bye. I had to come back on here and say, feel free to leave comments down below. I want to know how y'all feel about today's episode. I want to know what you're going through right now and what lesson you feel like is in the midst of your situation, or even what blessing you feel like is coming out of the situation that you're currently in. And also, I want to know what's something that you feel like you could be doing right now to help you or your situation.